Hi, I'm Jen. I'm the kind of old autistic lady. And today is a day when I cannot feel warm for the life of me. I've turned up the heat, I've got a hat on, I've got a blanket on, and I just can't feel warm. And that is a pretty long standing thing in my life that I have a very small range of comfort. I'm always hot or I'm always cold. And you'll notice that my cheeks are rosy, even though I feel cold. So my body is probably warm enough, but I don't feel that way. And it's also just really common. I think also part of what this comes from too is I don't know about y'all, but when I'm stressed out in particular, my body sends different signals to me than what my logical mind thinks should happen, as well as what I think sometimes emotions would dictate. And so for me, how this manifests is when I feel like I'm about to have a shutdown or a meltdown, my body gives off all kinds of signals. And I normally can associate them with stress, but not so much with understanding what's going to happen next. So, an example of this was yesterday. I had 3 appointments all set up by my surgeon's office. One was for an x-ray, one was with the surgeon itself, and the next was to be with the physical therapy department. And the appointments were all approximately an hour's drive away. And so I had planned out what was going to happen. My husband went with me and drove because I still kind of turned in my head in order to drive is still not all that comfortable. So we get there, and first of all, it took almost twice as long to get there as what it should because of traffic, which we were prepared for. We left plenty early. This stretch of road has issues quite frequently, and it was during morning traffic, work traffic. But we got there, and the place that was supposed to do the x-ray, their computer system was down. And so the woman at the front desk had told me to give her my insurance card and my ID, which is, pretty standard thing. And I was already kind of stressed out from the drive, but I didn't know how long it would be before the system would be back up. And it was stressing me out that she had my ID and my driver's license. I kept worrying that I would forget to ask for them back. And so when we were waiting, I decided I would go on my phone and pre-register for the surgeon appointment. But I got tripped up because the application wanted a photo of my driver's license and my ID. And the woman was continuing to try to enter my information at the front desk. So I just sort of gave up on that. But this went on and on where she was trying to get my stuff in the computer. More and more people were coming. Again, they couldn't get checked in either. And it got pretty close to when I was supposed to see the surgeon. And I was stressed out. I was starting to have gut issues over it. I was starting to just really feel how tired I was because I hadn't slept well the night before. And I called the surgeon's office and asked what I should do, and they told me I should stay there until I get the x-ray. So it took a while. I was considerably late to the surgeon's appointment, but I got there. And then I had to wait over an hour to be seen by the surgeon for my post-op appointment. And I have no idea if it was because I showed up late or, maybe a surgery ran long or, I have no idea what the reason was. But while we were waiting, I realized I didn't have my coat. And I wasn't sure if I had left it at the x-ray place, the waiting room of the surgeon's office. I knew it wasn't still in the car, and I knew I had worn it in. It was plenty cold. There's no way I didn't have it on. And I started to get super close to a meltdown. And my husband was trying, he was being so sweet. He was trying to help me, with my coat. And I was really afraid that if I sent him out looking for my coat, right about the time he'd leave, the surgeon would show up and then he wouldn't be with me during the surgeon's appointment. So he finally went out, and as soon as he tried to step out the door, one of the people that worked for the surgeon said, "Oh, this is her coat." So that was fine. But he was trying to comfort me and give me ideas. And knowing that I was getting close to a meltdown and or a shutdown, I was just like, look, I am not rejecting this because these ideas of yours are, not good or anything like that. I need to be difficult right now. And it was surreal hearing myself say those words. And I'm not so sure I would have if I hadn't gone through this autism diagnosis, self-diagnosis, formal diagnosis journey, because I, in the past, would have viewed that like I should have been more patient or should have been any number of things. And instead, I was having this experience of knowing what was going on. It was just the accumulation of all these things that had built up over the day. And the appointments ended up going great. Healing is how it's supposed to go. And I don't necessarily have to go for more physical therapy, which is a good relief to me because, it's tiring, number one. Number two, deductibles just started over on my insurance. And number three, I like my free time. And then we had, an hour drive home, more or less. But I just have to say that in the course of all of this, I felt so at an amount of physical unease that I'm not sure that up until yesterday, I had been fully aware of what my body was doing right before trying to have that kind of a reaction, but I was paying a lot more attention to it. And honestly and truly, the feelings that I was having, the physical sensations I was having were not how I would have envisioned somebody explaining what it would feel like right before melting down, right before shutting down. I couldn't get comfortable. I was just very uneasy, but I was tired and my stomach hurt, and I was just, it had built up and built up and built up to where if I had to come up with one word for how I felt, it was exhaustion. Mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, physical exhaustion, just all of it, just exhaustion, like I can't do anymore. Over something that my logical mind was telling me, this is not a big deal. They've already told you that this happens all the time with how these appointments are, and that, you're not going to be charged as if you were late or didn't show up, or, no sort of consequence was going to happen as a result of these cascading appointments having been a little bit later, other than having to wait longer. But it felt like the world was on fire. And my logical mind just kept thinking, there's just no reason why I should be feeling this way, other than maybe fatigue. So my closing thought for today, as I wrap this video up, is be gentle with yourself, because sometimes I think as humans, but as autistic humans, it's easy to feel like we failed, or we haven't done enough, or if we had just done X, this would have been a better outcome. or, whatever. But I couldn't help that I couldn't sleep the night before. I couldn't help that there was too much traffic. I couldn't help that the systems at the x-ray place weren't working. I couldn't help that the surgeon was late. All I could do was show up and wait. And that was all that was required of me, even though it felt like the world was on fire. So be gentle with yourself. If you're enjoying my content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.